other night we were at comedy, and you started telling me about this truck driver, and I was like, shut up, don't want to hear anymore. We have to record it, so I would love to hear the full story of the
truck driver.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, this happened when I was about 16 or 17, so the guy's probably dead, so we don't have to worry.
Okay.
That he's one of our patrons.
I know a little bit where the story's going, so you're like, this guy's dead. I was like, I don't care if this was happened yesterday. That guy's dead by accident.
Yeah, so we met it was this truck driver, and he was probably, I don't know, man, 400 pounds, maybe, just obese, right? And I was a teenager, and this other guy I was working with was a little older than me, and he was like a meathead. Like, he was jacked, you know what I mean? He was like, played college football, he was...
Alright, so he's about big as me.
So this truck driver starts talking to us, and he's like, yeah, you boys work out, huh? You play football? And I'm like, he plays college. He's like, oh yeah? I played football in college. And I'm like, you lying?
I was the field.
I'm like, but you know football, you're like, oh, he's a lineman.
Right.
Big fat guy.
Right.
Hard to move. He's a lineman.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what my buddy said. He's like, you play line? And he goes, nah, I was a kicker. And dude, I almost pissed my pants.
Dude, I don't care about football. Don't care at all.
Right.
I've watched the Super Bowl before.
Right, yeah.
But dude, I fucking don't care about football. You couldn't pay me to go to a football game.
Right.
Even if it's a Super Bowl,
right.
I'd be like, we get to go eat there?
Yeah.
Like, we get to go into the box and eat? I'll go to it then. But it's like, I'm not sitting, I don't care.
Sit around
you couldn't pay me to go to the fucking Super Bowl. That's how little I give a shit about it. But I would pay. If you want to get me to a football game, you'd be like, you want to go to a football game? And I'm like, nah. You're like, let me finish. The kicker's this giant fucking fat guy. I'll be like, all right, I'll pay. I will pay and get us a limo. We're getting taken by a limo. Fat kicker, already hilarious.
So he's like...
I bet when he kicked it, he goes... like a fart.
No, that's slow-mo. It's like all his weight.
Yeah. The ball just goes... explodes.
So then he obviously, we're kind of like laughing,
Yeah.
And he's like, I was in a lot better shape then. And I'm just thinking, dude, there's no way that happened.
Right.
Like, this guy may have been 40. And it's like, there's no way 20 years ago you were a fucking college football kicker.
Yeah.
Like essentially a soccer player physique-wise. Yeah. Like those guys are...
And now you have a feeder. Like, someone whose sole purpose in your life is to bring you food where you're naked in bed.
Yeah, so they tried to blame that on. He's like, yeah, been driving this truck for 18 years. You'll put the weight on, you know what I mean? Like eating fast food.
I feel like, do you ever get to where you're going, or is it just like you stop at every interstate exit? Like,
yeah. So then he starts telling us that he used to speak multiple languages.
Okay.
Fluently.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, he heard some of the workers talking in Spanish, and he's like, yeah, a few years ago, I could have told you exactly what those guys were saying. And, like, just that sentence, you're like, what? What does that mean?
Right. So you spoke it fluently. Okay.
And so he's like, yeah, man. He's like, driving this truck, I started getting those foreign language tapes, and I started learning different languages. He's like, man, I learned French, Spanish, Italian, and he's like, spoke them all fluent. And then I had this accident. Oh no, that's why he went into I almost forgot how he went into the coma, dude. So he's like, yeah, but that was before my accident, And I forgot all this in language. I'm like, what accident? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, you know, I ate some bad food on the road and I just had real bad diarrhea. I mean, days of it, just days of it. So I stopped and got me some of that Imodium, you know. It's supposed to stop you. And he's like, I took too much of it. I ate the whole box. I'm like, dude, you ate a whole box of Imodium?
Yeah, that's not fat. That's concrete inside your insides are concrete.
So
that's how he gained all that weight. He just took him. He's a little skinny guy. He took him and just went. So like the nutty professor.
So dude, he's like, so I took too much Imodium, and then I didn't shit for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, that's not possible.
Yeah, it starts coming out of your mouth and stuff.
And he's like, so you know, I went septic, which will happen if you can't shit.
Right.
And he's like, you know, I was in the hospital, I was in a coma, and when I woke up, I couldn't remember any of those languages.
Yeah, that happens. It's called constipation amnesia, dude.
And I'm just like, dude, I'm like 16, and I'm like, are you sure when you were in the coma, you didn't have a dream that you learned these languages only to wake up and realize, nah, I didn't. So then, dude, we finally get rid, like, you know, he's just following us around talking to us.
He's like, I don't dream anymore. Ever since I couldn't shit for 2 weeks. That'll make a man stop dreaming. He's like, what you do when you go in the hospital is they have to remove the shit from you. Sometimes they'll accidentally take out languages and math problems, and you just don't know. Yeah. That's how it works.
So, dude, he told us that ever since then he has trouble getting stopped up. You know, his like digestive system was never the same.
How bad?
And that had a lot to do with how big he was and all this. And so, you know, I was just like, you know, I was a fucking kid, dude. And we knew, my buddy that was there, the football guy, the first summer he worked in watermelons, he made the mistake of eating like a bunch of green watermelon, like a melon that's not ripe yet.
Yeah. And
I mean, he ate like, they were small, but he ate like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
And my dad comes around the corner and he goes, "Ooh, you gonna shit your pants." Dude, like 45 minutes later, he is running to the bathroom, you know, just shit. So we had that kind of, we knew, like, you know, it was like this thing. And so this guy's telling us how he's had trouble with his, you know, digestive system and everything. And we're standing by this, you know, we grade out the melons that aren't ripe, and so we're standing by this bin of them. And I gotta tell you what, dude, you eat a couple of these green watermelons, you'll be shitting real regular, you know. So he's like, can I buy some? I was like, you can have them. We throw them away. That motherfucker put like a dozen of those things in the cab of his truck.
Long story short, he now speaks 12 languages.
But my dad saw him doing it, and he's like, boy, he's like, that truck driver wants all those green watermelons? And I was like, yeah, we told him they would help him shit. And he's like, ooh, he's got no idea what he's in for.
He's gonna be a little skinny, trilingual man by the end of the day. Dude, that guy is like the worst kind of braggart.
Right?
Like, if that happened to me,
I wouldn't tell.
I'd just be like, well, I guess I could never tell anyone I knew other languages, used to know other languages. Like, he wants to brag about knowing that enough to admit that he had a DooDoo coma. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, like, that's the worst kind of bragging. Like, you give yourself 6 points and then take away 16. You know what I mean? It's like, I used to know Spanish. Ooh, really? Yeah, then I shit my pants into a coma.
Dude,
or didn't.
Dude, I wish, like, I would have recorded or written down all the bullshit, because he was there for hours.
Oh my God.
And it was just one fucking, those were the ones that really stuck out, but like, he told us that that he had won like $3 million on a scratch-off ticket, and his wife took it all from him.
No, I thought it'd be something. Then he gave it to a Nigerian scammer. You know, he brag on himself and then fucking fuck it up.